Hey, Buddy Manning here. Welcome to the Garden Report. Chris Forsberg by my side. Welcome into the Garden Report. I think this is the first one we've done together.
Yeah, for
Appreciate
sure.
you being here.
No worries.
NBC Sports Boston, Celtics Talk podcast. And we're down here at Jayson Tatum camp in Foxboro. Did one of these a year ago. I think this is probably his second one he's done here with the team.
I think so. I've never been to this Foxboro facility before, but evidently all he does is show up once a year and swat kids' shots to the moon.
Yes.
And, pull it out in his Maybach that's right over here. I wish we could turn the camera and see it, but
yeah, we'll throw some B-roll in there.
Yeah.
But we got him talking briefly around Kevin
Can we
Durant.
get back to curtain? Like they tell us no, we can't
Yeah.
really ask about that. So you got to delicately get to your questions, and they said they would shut it down if we asked about that, which is understandable. Like whatever, it's his camp. They can make those rules. We did try to slide in a couple of sneaky questions at the end to get a gauge on.
I threw in, have you talked to your teammates about keeping the team together? And he basically said back, we aren't any free agents, so we're coming back here.
Right.
Last week he was talking at Durant's documentary, mini movie premiere, and said he doesn't know if the rumors are true or not. Said he loved playing with Durant on Team USA.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of some positive.
He said everything he could without stepping on any line that he shouldn't have, and I thought he handled it well. Like I kept saying, he Euro stepped through the prickliness of the question and laid it in. What I like is that he said, I love this team, and I thought he reaffirmed it today by saying that the value of chemistry, when I kind of tried to steer him down that path as well. And I think that says something. If he's worried about chemistry, that when, if Brad's sitting there and hears Jayson Tatum saying there's a value in what they've been through and getting to the finals last year and keeping that group together, maybe that's just part of what, when it goes into the decision making. But yeah, look, he loves Durant. We all know this. He grew up idolizing him and getting to play with him at Team USA. I think he said, again, handled it well in terms of there's only so much you can say in that situation. You don't want to, totally avoid the question. I think the one thing I came away with, I would have loved to have heard him say, I love Jaylen Brown. I want to see this thing.
That's what my take is.
But on the other hand, okay, let's say something does go down, you don't want to be on record. So I don't know. I just think he handled it in the right way, and he's made it clear. Look, I think parsing his words, I think he's made it clear that he understands. The decision isn't ultimately up to him. He can just go out there and play with whoever is with him.
It's a tough spot to be in for sure. Like you said, if the deal actually goes down, and Athletic's report, they've made an offer, they've talked about this, they're still exploring how to move forward with it. So you think that this is a real internal conversation that they're having?
It has to be, because there's not many instances where you can get Kevin Durant with 4 years on his contract at what you would call a steal, which is I think what their offer would be, right? As much as we can think the world of Jaylen Brown, Kevin Durant is just another level of a player. But, there's all a balance to this. Do you want to take on the 34 years old and the risk going forward? There is some redundancy now with Derek White and Malcolm Brogdon, so you can understand why the trade package that came out makes a little bit of sense to Boston. And we know Brad doesn't care about draft picks. If he can upgrade the roster, he's going to do that. And so I think there was definitely a conversation, because all 29 teams called. And where else do you start but Jaylen Brown? You're not giving up Jayson Tatum.
Yeah.
And so it's just a natural starting point. And I think the Celtics are like, and maybe there was, we'll never know, and maybe Brad will get some true serum eventually. But was this here's as far as we can go? This is all we're willing. If we're going to give up Jaylen Brown, we're not giving up more draft picks. We're definitely not giving up Marcus Smart. And maybe the conversation just ends there. And we don't know exactly the timeline, but it sure feels like it was probably a little bit before the reports start to trickle out. So it's all part of the equation to me, and I think that what the Celtics are doing now is, okay, does a better offer come along? Do the Brooklyn Nets, would they even go back to that offer and take it? And would the Celtics, even if the Nets came to them and said, okay, we're willing, now you have to make that decision. That's a little bit harder than just having conversations about it. So I think it just all goes into the calculus. Brad wouldn't be doing his job if he didn't explore it, and the Nets now have to figure out, what are they willing, or are they just going to bring Kevin Durant back and figure this thing out on the fly?
Well, the other route could have been just avoiding it entirely. And like you said, you got to explore adding a player like this. But I feel like when you put Jaylen Brown out there, you're seriously exploring this.
But here's the thing. There's no, this isn't fantasy football. There's no, I don't send you a proposal.
You don't push the button.
And you don't hit reject. It's just there's conversations every day in which, Jayson Tatum's name comes up. When they were going for, thinking about Anthony Davis, Jayson Tatum came up all the time. And I understand players can feel hurt by that, but I just think it's part of the process. And they get paid a lot of money to deal with that. And so they can either internalize it and use it for motivation. They can be upset about it and let it drive their next decision. But ultimately, to me, it just comes down to winning. Jaylen Brown comes back and the Celtics are winning games and winning finals or competing for finals. he's going to want to be here. And the Celtics can pay him more money than anybody else in 2 years. So it all goes into the equation, and the Celtics have to have a feel for what Jaylen Brown wants to do in 2 years. But I don't think he should get – I understand the human element of it. You're always going to be like, why are they bringing my name up? But I just think it happens. And, like, you can't get too stung by it.
How do you feel about the potential of the move from your perspective? If you're Brad and you're weighing whether or not to make this move, I've been a big fan of it. We talked about the talent.
I'm not a fan of it.
You're not.
So, look, I love Kevin Durant. I think it'd be like you'd have a 2-year window at least where you are the prohibitive favorite. But you know, what are we talking? Are we talking Derek White or are we talking Marcus Smart?
At the package that's been offered,
So,
apparently.
I mean, that gives me a little bit more, like, I think there's some redundancy there with White. And as much as I hate to strip a depth piece from a team that didn't have enough depth this past month or last month when they were going for finals, like, I understand that part of it. I would give heavy consideration to that initial package because, but I'd also have to feel that Jaylen Brown, there was something telling me that Jaylen Brown wasn't coming back. If Jaylen Brown, if you feel and if Brad's instinct is that you're going to be able to re-sign him, he's going to take that max contract in 2 years, then I don't know if I'm necessarily ready to sprint to that deal.
And that is a big advantage with, possibly a cap spike coming.
Yeah.
That could be a significant offer that they're putting in front of Brown that may be impossible to say no to, even if he wants to explore other options beyond that.
And I think there's a real chance he takes a 1-and-1 like at the end of that deal because then the TV money's going to hit and there's going to be all these variables that go into it. So I think it's all part of the puzzle what you're putting together.
And Durant older, injury concerns creeping in. It's a brutal decision, especially for a team that was there.
It's a brutal decision. Like, it's a team that just went to the finals and they're deciding between do they want a 25-year-old all-star or a 34-year-old top 50 player of all time.
Yeah, but when you start talking about adding in Smart or maybe adding in multiple years of draft.
That's the agonizing part.
Yeah.
You're, like, deciding what do you want to do? Do you want to go for, like, are you going for it right now with a short window or are you going for something bigger? And I don't know. That's why we don't get paid Brad Stevens money.
By all accounts, nothing happening there for now, but Tatum did get his chance to respond last week as well as here at his camp. We'll have another hit about what happened here at the camp next, but thanks to Chris Forsberg for joining us. We're, of course, brought to you by Athletic Greens. Go to athleticgreens.com/garden. Get a year's worth of vitamin D as well as
We're getting a ton of vitamin D right now. Jesus,
this is for the winter. Pack it away. You're going to need it. We're getting our share right now, but we'll be deficient come December, Chris, when we're stuck inside TD
Can I go on
Garden.
vacation now? Is it okay? Like,
You're out of here, Chris.
No, I don't even mean from this. I just mean in general. Like, this team has been too busy for too long.
Oh, it's insane. And I'm sure it hasn't stopped. I said in my column this morning, I've never seen as many unresolved things in the league going into August. We had Kyrie Irving a couple years ago, and that's stuff that kind of surprised everybody late in the summer. But it feels like 5+ teams right now still have a lot of work to do, and the Celtics might be among them. So Chris Forsberg, Bobby Manning, go over to athleticgreens.com/garden. Go get that offer. Go support the Garden Report and subscribe at Celtics All Access as well as CLNS Media. We'll talk to you soon.